What's up, everybody? Welcome into an early edition of SSPN Postgame because the game is already over as we head in to the fourth quarter, Ethan. We're going to pull up the score here. The Spurs are down at least 20 plus. I don't remember the exact total
26.
On the score there. Thank you for getting that, my guy. Normally we don't do this, but this one was just so abysmal, for lack of a better term, that me and Ethan, we got to get up early tomorrow morning. So we just started, or we decided that we would start this one a little bit earlier. But, before we get into that, Ethan, there's actually some significant Spurs news that kind of plays in to what's going on tonight that we haven't had a chance to talk about. And that is, of course, Jeremy Sochan having a procedure on his thumb. You're definitely noticing his physicality missing as well as his presence on the board as well. I know that Tuesday night his stat line wasn't crazy, but that's because, again, he fractured his thumb in the game. So what are your thoughts on Jeremy Sochan being out and just his injury?
Yeah, I knew the loss of Sohan would be big for us, but I didn't realize it would be a 26-point deficit to the Rockets big. But it is clear that we are missing him. And offensively, yes, like he is a really solid playmaker at that four position. Always in the right place at the right time. Great cutter, great screener. But defensively is where we're really missing him. There was just nobody to slow down the Rockets tonight at all. Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks to an extent. You just say their name and they're probably going off against the Spurs tonight. We missed his intensity tremendously, and we will continue to miss it even with Devin Vassell and Trey Jones coming back probably before he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have put it better myself. That definitely ties in a lot to the performance tonight. And especially with the way that he started the season, as we've been harping on, in all the games that we've seen so far. That improved play is definitely missed, as you just mentioned. To talk about the game a little bit, for maybe some of you guys that are watching this after didn't get a chance to watch the game and are wondering, hey, what the heck happened? Essentially, I can sum it up in this, Ethan, and I don't know if you'll have too much to add after this, but I'll go ahead and just say it. So, consistent missed rotations on defense. One example of that, for example, in the first quarter was a missed switch between Stephon Castle and Zach Collins, where they kind of ran into each other, leads to a wide open three from Fred VanVleet when there was kind of an obvious switch there in that situation. There were some games earlier in the year, where we saw some improvement there. Not the case tonight whatsoever. We still can't guard Jalen Green, even though he's not the Rockets' leading scorer tonight. He's still somebody who's been able to get buckets. And of course, Fred VanVleet having a bounce back game with 21, 10 for 11, as you can see down there, plus 20 in the box score with 10 assists as well. So he's just absolutely cooking. Consistent turnovers on offense. Let's see, what's our turnover number up to? It's up to 16 so far in the game. I don't know if we can see here on the box score if we've got points off turnovers, but I'm sure regardless, it is still significant to say the least. We did start hitting some threes in the third quarter, so that kind of boosts our percentage up to 35. But before that, going into the half, it was 27% from three. Missing a lot of open shots as well, especially in the beginning of the game. Real rough start for both teams, but more so even for us. But again, missed rotations, consistent turnovers on offense, no cohesiveness or intention on either side of the floor. Our transition defense was bad as well. So it's not just in the half court, it was in transition also. It is just a good old fashioned butt whooping in Houston.
Yes, very well said. The only thing I will add to that is there was not a lot of intensity from the Spurs tonight. Physicality was not there defensively. We were letting their guards run all over the place. Fluid offense for the Rockets, as Fred VanVleet, as of right now, is 10 for 11 from the field with 21 points. And Jalen Green has 15 points, 5 of 11. But those 3 threes that he has hit thus far in the game were kind of daggers in the emotional state of the Spurs,
Yes.
it felt like. And then on the other side, our offense just couldn't play through any of the physicality the Rockets are presenting Wemby. They pushed him out to the top of the key 3-point line, and the spacing that we were troubled with against OKC in that second game against Houston and against the Dallas Mavericks, That's what we experienced once again tonight. We just didn't have Jeremy Sochan to kind of mitigate it on the other side of the court. So it was really just, compounded to another level, it felt like tonight.
Yes. How much of that Clippers game did you get to watch, Ethan?
I got to watch the entire thing.
Really? So you stayed up? I did not. Tell me, let's just talk about that then, because we see what's happening in this game. If y'all want to see what's going on in the game, we got the box score up with the live score there as well. But give me your thoughts on kind of what went wrong, because I know we were up 26. I saw late in the third quarter we were up double digits.
Mhm,
I'm assuming that probably a little bit of what went wrong at the end of that game is kind of bleeding into this one. Tell me your
mhm.
thoughts.
Yeah, well, the quarters kinda went back and forth. The initial start for the Spurs was unbelievable. Like, we were hitting on
Uh
all
huh.
cylinders. It was 40-14 in the first quarter. Second quarter, it flipped 34-16 in favor of LA, and then the second half was pretty competitive, but it came down to that fourth, and I think we were actually up to start the fourth and maintained a decent lead. And then, of course, the veteran leadership of Norman Powell, James Harden, Zubats, Coffee came out to
Yeah.
play. And we don't account for Coffee, and we had talked about, like, our depth actually looks better than them, but when he hits 5 for 6 from 3, and that seems to be a common theme in these losses, is we let at least one guy that we didn't account for in the pregame go crazy from deep. We had Lou Dort in OKC. We had, I mean, you Clay Thompson you have to account for, but he went crazy in the Dallas game. And then tonight it was Fred Van Vliet, 10 for 11. Like, we continue to let these guys kind of cook us from deep, this guard play, and we're unable to stop it in our pick and roll defense. And that's ultimately what it came down to. And then we couldn't hit shots. If we had hit a few shots, like, maybe we come out on top in this one, but we went completely ice cold and they were able to keep it under control and level headed.
Yeah, and to add to your point, another three from Jalen Green. He's up to 19 points now, 4 for 7 from three, above 50% on the night. The Rockets are up to 42% from three on the night overall. And you know what's crazy? I mean, we've made four more threes than them.
Yeah, and if you look at points off turnovers, Jude, you mentioned that stat earlier, that we actually have more points off
Wow.
turnovers, but we just have
Wow.
considerably more turnovers. So I guess they just weren't, and that's kind of a misleading stat. Don't they have to score, like, relatively quickly for that to count, or is it just the next possession? I'm not sure how
I,
that works.
I see what you're getting at. I'm pretty sure though that it's like, it's pretty like the next possession. So like for example, like when Stephon Castle got that steal and then it ended up leading to a missed three right at the end of the third quarter of this game.
Yes.
Yeah. So that if Stephon would have made that, then it would have been a points off turnover. So
Got
if
you.
even if somebody else, like say he gets that steal and then dishes it to Champagny in the corner and he hits it, that's points off turnovers.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I would say, just to say a couple positives, and they're kind of difficult to find in this game,
Right.
really. Um, I would say Blake in the limited 13 minutes offensively was pretty piss poor, but defensively, at least there was a level of intensity there that he came in with to try and slow down the Rockets' offense, which was already kick started. Um, it worked kinda. He did hit a 3, he increased the intensity a little bit, but ultimately it didn't pay off in any way. And I put Keldon needs to be aggressive, and he did kinda turn it on. He went 4 for 6 thus far with 10 points, but at the same time, there were a few swing passes that he did not complete, probably because he was trying to be aggressive and make a play and be the hero, but I mean, that's pretty much it. Mamu had a couple nice baskets, extra possession rebounds, but I'm really having a search here.
Yeah, there's really not too much positive to go off of tonight. What I would have said, is maybe like Keldon played well, but you know, um, this is a game where, especially, going back to the first quarter a little bit, Ethan, we went down 22-8, and a lot of
Yeah,
that had to do with the bench unit come in and can also continue the butt kicking or
yeah,
continue getting their butt kicked. And that's a time like, okay, when it's first quarter, you know what I mean. That's where, okay, Jeremy's out, man. Like, I know we don't want Keldon to just go full like barrel to the basket all the time, but tonight I think would have been a good situation for him to just, really take the majority of the shots, be aggressive going to the rim. And at the worst, maybe with the way we've, as much as this game isn't the best example, with the way we've improved a little bit this season, offensive rebounding wise, maybe somebody, could go get a second chance bucket after he drives to the rim, or maybe him driving to rim causes somebody to crash and leaves a shooter open on the bench. But honestly, just with the way we were playing tonight, overall, like you said, intensity wise as well. Um, I don't really know if that even would have been enough. I don't know if that would have really made a difference, even if Keldon was up to like 17 points right now and had been scoring.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That probably doesn't even change the outcome either. And I think John G makes a good point here. He said, "What's going on? We look uninterested in this game."
Mm,
I'll say, at least at the beginning, as much as it was a struggle, I'll say that as the score continued to play out, we continued to look more and more uninterested. That
right.
that definitely was a way that, because there were even like sometimes where we're still like kind of like fighting for stuff, but once we kind of went down 20 and then we cut it to 18 a couple times and they answered. I mean, even when we were cut down that much, you could just tell the body language. As much as it wasn't like we weren't necessarily trying, but mentally we've been defeated for a while in this game.
Right, right. Only other positive is Julian Champagny went 3 for 6 from 3. That's nice, 50%. And something that I have noticed in these first 3 games against Houston, who's defended Chris Paul the best in the first 8 games of the year? Fred Van Vliet. And I know at
Interesting.
one point, I think he was an all defensive second team guy. Maybe I'm making that up. Um, I know he's a solid defender, but he is really pushing Chris Paul around and making life difficult on him. Like he's having trouble getting it past half court and then he's having to give it up early. That's not something we're seeing against other teams. I think
Yeah.
that's odd.
Yeah, I mean, Fred Van Vliet unlocking the Wichita State uh, defensive dog in him against against Chris Paul.
Yeah, suddenly. I'm looking this up because I don't want to get made fun of. I'm pretty sure he made a defensive team.
I don't remember, just to be
I
completely
made
honest
that
with
up.
you.
I made that
Okay,
up.
he did not. Okay,
No.
yeah. But I'm not gonna say, like I was just saying, like I remember. I mean, even from college, like yes, he's undersized, but Fred Van Vliet isn't, just like a potato on defense.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe he was one of those guys that like led the league in charges or something. You know what I mean? I could be
Yeah.
lying.
He is playing physical against Chris Paul. That's all you can really say with that. Um,
Right.
just on some other notes in this game, again, for people that may be tuning into this later and just want a little bit more context. Um, again, started out the game down 22-8, and it really never changed after that point. That was
Mm-hmm.
early in the first quarter. The same story continued. Lots of hesitancy is
Mm-hmm.
also offensively. You saw that a lot tonight. There was one possession where I think it was Stefan and Mamu, and they were kind of passing it back and forth to each other. And you want to have the ball movement, but at some point, like somebody's got to decide to make a play before the shot clock goes out. You know, kind of similar. Unfortunately, a lot of similar themes to last year in
Yeah.
tonight's game, as well as kind of the first half of the Rockets game or the Rockets post game that we did in the second time that we played them,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, kind of the second half of the Mavs game to open the year. Lots of discombobulation, continuous turnovers, a lack of cohesion and intention offensively and defensively. We ended up going down 46-26 midway through the second, as you guys can see up there, 31-19 and then 32-19. Again, total butt whipping. The fact that we even is that up there? Does that say that we won the third quarter? Yeah,
Yeah, by 2 points.
that still seems crazy, but I know that we did hit a bunch of threes in that quarter all of a sudden, so I can see how we did somehow, edge that one out. But at the 6 minute mark in the second quarter, it was 11-4 turnovers wise, with us having 11. At half, 14 more made field goals for the Rockets, 18 more paint points for the Rockets, and 7 more assists.
Yeah, it was a complete outclassing by the Rockets. As much as it pains me to say, they
Right.
also deserve a lot of credit here. They had the game plan set, and they didn't let us come back in any any shape or fashion.
I don't know when we play them again. And as you can see, I'm seeing some Charles Bassey, David Duke, CD Sissoko, Harrison Ingram, Riley Minix minutes popping up on the screen. The Austin Spurs are in the game, Ethan. They got 6.5 minutes and they're leading the comeback. That's my prediction.
Maybe we got a chance. Hey man, Minnick's a dog. Minnick's a dog. Low key want to
Look,
go see those.
30 points in the last 6.5 minutes, 20 rebounds from CD, um, 10, 10, and 10 from Charles Bassey.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. I mean, Bassey honestly needs to take advantage of these minutes because there's a lot of people in the comments right now ripping Zach. and he did not have a great game tonight. Ultimately, though, I think he's played better
I
this year
agree.
overall.
I know that it's still an issue, but I would agree with that. That's not us saying that it's not a weakness on the team. We're just saying in comparison to last year,
Yeah.
it's a little bit better. Here's the last thing I'll say on this game, Ethan. And I wrote it down in the second quarter, and I'm looking at it. It's just so true, man. There was a wide open backdoor pass from Zach that went straight through Malachi's hands,
Yeah,
where
we
he
had
would have
bad
had
hands.
where he would have had a wide open layup. And I think that is just a perfect representation of this game for the Spurs.
Yeah, we had a lot of bad hands overall. It wasn't just Malachi. Like a lot of
Right.
dropped passes and fumbled handoffs.
Yeah, and I wasn't even trying to like point out Malachi there. I
No,
was
I know what
just
you're
saying
doing.
like us throwing a wide open pass with a well executed backdoor play, a wide open lane for an easy layup or dunk, and it just goes through our hands, out of bounds, turnover. That's this game.
Sums it up well.
Any final thoughts on this one, man?
No, sir. I think that's it for me. I'm just a little depressed, but tomorrow's a different day.
And we will be back with another post game. I know this is probably going to be the shortest SSPN post game that we've ever done, guys. But I think if you watch this game, or even if you're coming back and you've watched the 16 and a half minutes of me and Ethan talking about this one, you can see why there's really not much to break down. I've already kind of repeated myself twice on the things that have happened in this game. Just poor team offense, poor team defense, poor transition play offensively and defensively, turnovers consistently, and getting out efficiented.
Mm. We'll make that a word. We'll put that in the
Yeah,
SSPN dictionary.
that wasn't a word, but I was trying to think of a way to describe how even though we've made more shots than them in some cases, they're shooting better than us still, and that's why it's 115-88, almost a 30-point deficit.
Go Spurs go, but with sad face.
For real. For real. We appreciate you guys being troopers with us tonight on this one. We will be back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be back at 9:30 tomorrow with a solid recap to go over with another Spurs bounce back. The last time we asked for this, it was granted to us against the Utah Jazz, and I'm not sure what the Blazers record is just because I'm so Spurs centric, just to be completely honest with you guys. They should be a team on the similar caliber of a Jazz, though, is the point I was getting to.
They're 3-5, and we're about to be 3-5.
So, well, that's even there, but still, I think ideally should be a better matchup than the Rockets. But hey, man, with Jeremy Sochan out, maybe these same issues will rear their ugly head tomorrow.
We will have to see. Nobody can stop. I mean, what have we had trouble with, Jude? The good, athletic, quick, skilled backcourts. They have Anthony Simons and
Scoot Henderson
Jude Henderson. So we'll see.
and Shaden Sharp if he wasn't injured.
Right. Right.
Well, Devin, come back soon, please.
Please, for the love of
Spurs,
God.
actually, I'm sure Devin is already down to come back. Spurs,
Let him come back.
RC. You're watching this. I know you are. We're back in San Antonio tomorrow night. Please activate him. It's
Please.
probably not going to happen, but please.
He'll answer your prayer.
Alrighty. We will officially wrap this one up, y'all. Thanks for being troopers with us again. We will be back tomorrow night against the Portland Trailblazers back in San Antonio. But again, if you did enjoy the content tonight, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button below. And if you want to stay updated with the channel, follow us on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at SSPNYT, at Jude McLaren, and at Ethan_Quintero. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.